Here in jolly old Britannia, we love nothing more than declaring that something is an institution. Not in the correct sense, like Boy Scouts or the UN are institutions, but more to signify that they proudly demonstrate some of those quintessential qualities of Britishness. Take the Humble Ice Cream Van, for example, a great British institution that plays a jaunty tune and sells a summer treat to children, despite the fact they're exclusively run by miserly dudes in their 50s who hate kids and it's always raining anyway. What a f***ing country. Anyway, the personification of this whole thing, and apologies to my close personal friend Judi Dench here, is Colin Firth. That stiff upper lip, that impossibly well-behaved hair, that surname that is literally just how really posh people say Forth. The man is so British, he probably cries Vimto at the very sight of a Union Jack. But, like almost all of his peers, he's prone to the odd stinker every now and then too. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and these are 5 awesome Colin Firth performances and 5 that sucked. Awesome! Vince Collins' Where Truth Lies. Like a lot of Brits, Colin Firth carved out a career for himself at home by taking very serious and occasionally dark roles, showcasing the power of his performances and the dramatic range of his acting skills. However, with Ralph Fiennes currently occupying Hollywood's one designated slot for very serious English man TM, he was reduced to socially awkward, slightly chubby supporting roles whenever he dared cross the Atlantic. That was until 2005 when he landed a starring role in the Palme d'Or nominated Where Truth Lies opposite Kevin Bacon, a noir-esque dissection of a 1950s comedy duo whose professional relationship fell apart after the mysterious death of a young girl. There was sex, there was drugs, there was an incredibly convoluted plot, and Firth positively shone in the far more complex role of the two leads. He wasn't exactly an unknown at the time, but in Where Truth Lies, he symbolically kicked Hollywood's door open and whacked his acting cock on the table. Good luck animating that. Sucked, Harry, Mamma Mia. Now, I promised my own mother many years ago that I would never use my position as an air quotes journalist to bash her favourite film of all time, but, well, I also promised her I wouldn't spend my entire time at university chasing around girls, and, well, here we are. You see, despite bringing in a staggering $610 million and counting, and you know what, actually being a perfectly enjoyable movie if you're willing to lighten up a bit, Firth did absolutely not want to be here. In 2008, he was jumping between supporting actor rom-com roles, lead parts in mildly successful dramas, and, Centrinians, which we'll get to later. He's better than all of these roles, and his frustration came through in every single song. Watching it back now, it's actually staggering to think he was only a year away from an Academy Award, and not a year away from being found under a railway bridge eating beans out of a tin. Awesome. Bill Hayden, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Now, nerd alert, I'd actually read Tinker Tailor prior to its release. Well, no, sorry, I got through an audiobook in a car one summer, but same diff, yeah? And not for 1 second did I think it would work on screen. It's all layered and complex, like a lasagna made of string theory. But when the names started rolling out, it almost looked doable. Gary Oldman, Toby Young, John Hurt, Tom Hardy, Benedilli Cumberwilly, all stoic pillars of the silver screen, and, if nothing else, people you would happily watch just murmur in a smoky room for an hour. But when the dust finally settled at the end of the film, the man who'd quietly taken all the plaudits was none other than Colin Firth as Bill Hayden, a character that's merely part of the whole circus at the beginning, but unfurls as possibly the most key player the deeper we get into the story. Firth posted a performance that matched this perfectly. An impossible puzzle of unease, suspicion, and double-crossing, Firth brought an unsettling calm to an otherwise chaotic film. Sucked, Lord Henry Dashwood, What a Girl Wants. Now, Colin Firth can do subtlety, yes, he can do romance, of course, and he can do comedy, he can do all sorts, but he cannot, under any circumstances, do leather pants. As with Mamma Mia, he was another example of Firth just being sick to the back arse of playing the atypical bumbling British gent and visibly glazing over with the delivery of almost every single line. His character, that of a rich politician who's forgotten his free-loving, carefree roots, somehow manages to not even be the worst stereotype on display here. American co-stars Kelly Preston, Amanda Bynes, and Anna Chancellor get dreadfully radical hippie, unfulfilled teenage daughter, and stuffy ice queen roles, respectively. In a time when teen flicks were getting smarter and better performed, this played off like a Hollywood Polaroid of tired Britishness in the face of good old American free spirit, and oh, Jesus man, those leather pants, I can't even. Awesome. Mark Darcy, Bridget Jones's Diary. If we're looking at this list as a potted history of Firth's career, then this was the moment he cemented himself as a main event talent. The film where he went from perfectly serviceable supporting actor to the name you wanted for your romantic lead, effectively throwing Hugh Grant from the top of Hell in a Cell in a process. Good God Almighty, they killed him. Taking what could easily have been Grant's part as the nice guy, Firth gets to play off both him and Renee Zellweger's manic Bridget as both men tussle for her affections. From the shot of the daft green Christmas jumper to when he tells Bridget he likes her just as you are, it's a wonderfully fleshed out performance in what could have been a throwaway comedy. His performance leans heavily on his part in Pride and Prejudice and also tweaks the stereotype of the traditional English gent in the face of Grant's Randy Romeo. In a film with big performances, he actually plays it pretty straight, and when he does finally confess his love for Bridget, it's arguably one of British cinema's warmest moments. Plus, and just to prove they are Britain's De Niro and Pacino, they gave the most realistic depiction of an actual fight outside of a pub, so kudos. Sucked? Mark Darcy, Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason. Yes, of course, none of us are actually allowed nice things in life, so inevitably Firth's performance in the sequel, remake, whatever it was, to use the technical term, absolute ass. Much in the same way the plot of The Edge of Reason was a bad imitation on the original, so too was our Colin's portrayal of the much-loved Mark Darcy. A poor photocopy of a faded image, your drunk friend trying to play Wonderwall in the middle of a fairly decent house party, his follow-up performance was a shadow of that which had come before it. Again, he sleepwalks, again, he glazes over, and again, it's obvious he'd rather be doing almost literally anything else. Thankfully though, Firth does avoid the film's lowest ebb, which is a bit of light-hearted repartee about how almost every woman in Thailand actually has a cock. Mega lols. Awesome. George Falconer, A Single Man. A Single Man is, frankly, an absolutely beautiful film, and Firth is the beating heart of it. Directed by former Gucci creative director Tom Ford, the film sets out from the very beginning to make something that's as pristinely written as it is presented. Without spoiling anything for you, because honestly, you absolutely need to see this film, it tells the story of an English professor who, in a series of unflinchingly honest scenes, has to deal with overwhelming grief. The stakes for this are set as high as possible from the very first scene, and as Firth takes you through what may well be this man's last day on Earth, you are sucked further and further into his emotional struggle. It's a role that couldn't have been more striking, especially in contrast to the typecasting he was in serious danger of falling into in 2009, and Firth was impossibly unlucky to miss out on the Best Actor Oscar that year. Seriously, watch this film. Sucked? Harry Dean, Gambit. There was so much good spirit towards this film when it was getting made. Colin Firth, Cameron Diaz, Alan Rickman, all in a remake of the 1966 Shirley MacLaine and Michael Caine caper movie written by the goddamn Coens. What could possibly go wrong? Well, nearly everything, as it turns out, as once Michael Hoffman, no, me neither, got a hold of the script, it suddenly became a comedic heist with precisely zero comedy and zero heistness? What's the noun for that? Drama? Excitement? Tension? We'll go with tension. Zero tension. There's one particular moment with Firth perched precariously and trouserless on a hotel room window ledge, and much like that bit in The Simpsons when Bart pinpoints the exact moment Ralph Wiggum's heart breaks in two, you can see Firth slowly asking himself what the fuck he is doing in this film and arriving at a fairly unpleasant answer. A dreadful, dreadful outing. Awesome. King George VI, The King's Speech. I mean, I'm not winning any prizes for surprises here, and to be fair, even Jules would struggle to jazz up Man Was Good in Film He Won Oscar For as a news story, but it's here for a very, very good reason. Telling the all-too-true tale of King George VI struggling to overcome his own physical and mental limitations, Forth's portrayal of a man suffocating under the crushing weight of expectation is delivered as impressively with his head as it is with his heart. Sucked! Jeffrey Thwaites, St. Trinian's 2, The Legend of Fritton's Gold. For every inch I want to heap praise on Firth for The King's Speech, I want to literally kick him to death for this film. Instead of things like plot, development, or God forbid, laughs, we get another creepily leery spectacle as every non-working British actress at the time is paraded around in a schoolgirl costume for nobody's enjoyment except your dad. Firth, amongst all of this, is going out with Rupert Everett in one of the most tasteless drag acts you have ever seen. You see, he's such an institution, he'll even quietly sabotage himself rather than make a scene, an approach that every single British person knows from when someone cuts in front of them in a queue. So that's our list. What do you think the best and worst Colin Firth performances are? I'm honestly really interested. Comment below and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I've been Adam from Whatculture.com and I'll pip cheerio you soon.